Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are out there in the world. My name is Jon-Eric, verbaling teacher from New York City, hanging out today from Lisbon, Portugal, to bring you another in our Talkaholic Texts series. What you're looking at is a person from Mars. I wonder why that is. Let's find out on today's Talkaholic Text series. Well, 3 quick rules to help you with my class. Turn off, tune in, and open up. Turn off means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking, and also, very important, please close the verbaling window in the background, and that way we won't get an echo. Rule number 2 is tune in. Tune into the new words that you're learning and try to use them actively throughout the class. And rule number 3, open up to your classmates, have fun, and speak. Remember, this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English, so no need to be closed. So, there you go. Let's find out about pizza on Mars. I wonder what that's all about. You know who knows? I bet Alpha Pilot knows about pizza on Mars, don't you, Alpha Pilot? Because that's where you're from, isn't it? Alpha Pilot's not going to talk to us today. I just have a funny feeling. Hey, is the chat working for everyone? If I write hello, can you all see it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and for those of you, oh my God. Alpha Pilot, do you know about pizza on Mars? Hi, people. Alpha Pilot's not talking to us. We're going to say hello to some old faces and new. Old faces meaning our returning heroes and champions, like Ms. Nihan. Hello, Ms. Nihan. How are you?
I'm not old.
I didn't say you were old. I said old as in returning heroes and champions, like Ms. Nihan. And tell me something, Ms. Nihan. I want you to have a close look at this. And what does that what does that tell you?
Ooh, it's kind of lizard.
Kind of lizard. Aren't you our local cinematic connoisseur?
No.
No?
I don't remember.
Aren't we supposed to have a film discussion class in the near future?
Yeah, but if I don't see the movie, I cannot say anything about it.
Oh my goodness. No one knows. Does anyone know what film this is? Hazel?
Give us a clue.
No.
They're on Mars. Hazel, no?
Yeah.
Anyway,
obvious.
they are extraterrestrial.
That's true. All right, let me get rid of this before I scare people away. Look! There's another one. Look at him. Just kidding.
No.
So, we're going to say hello to some new people because we have, hello, Luigi Rubino.
Hello.
Hi, Luigi. Where are you from? Don't say Italy.
Italy?
Oh, no!
Yes.
It was just a crazy, wild guess. Italy's a kind of a big place. North, south, middle?
Yes.
Near the Adriatic?
Center.
In the center.
Bologna.
Bologna. Okay, I've been in Bologna. Bologna's a very attractive city.
Yes, it is.
It's all right. Maybe I saw you when I was in Bologna. I don't remember you. Were
How
you there?
long?
15 years ago.
No. I wasn't here 15 years ago.
Ah, okay. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about some very interesting... Oh, well, we've got all kinds of people returning right now. We're going to be talking a little bit about... actually, you know what? Rather than me tell you about it, I want to show you a little clip, and I'd like you to tell me what you can gather about today's topic from the clip. So, quick hello to some of the new people. We've got Henry Gomez. Hello, Henry. How are you? Henry, can you hear me? I can see you, Henry, but I cannot hear you. So,
Hello.
hey, there we go.
I'm
Mr.
fine. And you?
I'm excellent. Mr. Henry Gomez, where are you from?
I'm from Colombia.
You're from Colombia. Ah, we've got one of our returning students is also from Colombia, but he's not here tonight. Where's Batty Luis? Maybe, I hear that in Colombia, everyone has a hammock because Batty always comes to class in his hammock. Do you have a hammock as well?
No, those
should.
are more used in the north of the country, the coast.
Oh, okay. Hammocks are only in the north. I'm starting to understand how Colombia works. Okay. So, nice to have you with us, and a quick hello to Denis or Denis Butov. Dennis.
Dennis, yes,
Dennis.
yes, will be good. Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Dennis, and where are you from?
I'm from another wild guess, maybe.
Let me see. Somewhere in Russia.
Yes, from Russia.
As far as I understand, it has the largest landmass of any country. So if I say Russia,
Yes,
one
quite
out of
so.
6 people is going to say yes anyway. So I might as well just always say Russia.
I'm from Moscow. I'm near from Moscow now.
Excellent. Okay, and one more quick hello to Sammy Alcalotti. I don't know how to say your name. Alcalotti. Hello, Sammy. I hear a microphone being turned on. And I don't know who it is. Maybe that's someone else. Okay, and our returning heroes and champions, Ida, Juan, Hazel, of course, and Nihan. Nice to have you. Ignacio wants to know. Ignacio wants to know what's a hammock. Ignacio, you're going to have to ask the people from Colombia because they always come to class in their hammock. Okay, for those of you who, if you haven't opened the text, I will give you a copy right now in the chat window. This text is you'll learn a lot about hammocks in this text, so you should definitely read it. And you'll have a link there. You can open it if you want, but actually we're going to open one of the links first. Lately I've been having good luck with my YouTube videos, so this should work. Let's find out. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to play a YouTube video, so I got to turn on the app. All 9 of you have to accept, as you probably know. I'm opening it right now, so you should all get a little accept button. Say accept. Accept it. Press OK. Uh-oh. What's that? And okay. Ooh. So, I'm going to try to move forward to the important part of the video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. And if I remember correctly, there's only music. There's no sound. So what I want you to do is I want you to tell me the story that's being shown to you. I want you to tell me about today's class, and this video explains the gist of it. And maybe you can answer the question of how there will be pizza on Mars. Are you ready?
Ready!
Here we go. Great music, by the way, huh? Okay, I think you get the idea. What do you think about that music, huh? Excellent
It's
music.
very amazing. I'm
It
dancing.
is.
Yeah.
The thing is that, all you people watching out there, you can't see the video. So you just see my face going like this. You don't know what you're missing. Oh, you know what? I'll be nice. I'll give you all the link. Even though you're watching, and I don't know if you deserve it. There you go. There's the link to the video that we watched. So knock yourself out. Okay. Who wants to tell me the story of how pizza will eventually end up on Mars? We're going to read about it too. You do, Ida? Excellent. Go for it.
But what is the question? It is a strange question.
It is a strange question. The topic for today is not a question, a statement. There will be pizza on Mars. How will it get there, Ida? Tell us the story.
Because they are going to take a 3D printing to Mars. So
A 3D printer, right?
3D printer, yeah. So humans, yeah, they will just need the ingredients, and they put a mix together in that printer, and then suddenly
There you go.
a pizza appears from the
There
printer.
you go. See, you watched a 2-minute video, and you're already... Uh-oh. What's that noise? Someone's playing the video in the background. I think it's... So you watch a 2-minute video, and you're already an expert, Ida. Excellent.
Yeah.
Mr. Juan, I think you've got Verbling open in the background, because I hear my voice. Close the Verbling window. Okay, Juan.
Okay.
All right. Ooh, got a bad connection today, Juan. Something's wrong with your mic because I'm hearing... There we go. Sorry, we have to mute you. But when you're ready to talk, you can turn your mic back on. Okay, Juan? So, well, let's get a few reactions. So that's how pizza will end up on Mars. Has anyone heard about 3D printing? Because we've talked about it before in these classes. What can you tell me about it?
Why on Mars? It would be better to have some kind of food printer on Earth at our homes.
Interesting. Interesting.
It would be very funny to have some of pizza printer. Yeah, I would.
It would be
buy.
very fun, or it would be fun. Which?
Funny.
Funny we'll all laugh, or fun we'll enjoy ourselves.
Enjoy yourself.
Fun, not funny.
Fun.
It'll be very fun. It'll be very fun. Okay, tell us why, Dennis. I agree.
Funny, and fun.
Yeah, no. Tell us why we should have it on Earth. Listen, our Martian overlords, they ordered the 3D printer, so we're going to make a lot of money if we give it to them. Plus, they may eat us if we don't. So we have to appease them. But you're right, we could have it on Earth as well. Tell us why. What will it do for us?
Because I just thought this is only thing which I really needed one now. Maybe.
Why is that? Why is it the only thing that you need? Sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Because it's very useful to have such a device.
Sounds good. Let's open it up to the group. So I agree completely with Dennis. It may be in the end could be the only thing that we need. What do you think? Well, what do you think it could replace? Let's put it that way. Let's open this up to the group. Henry, what do you think the 3D printer could replace based on what you saw on the video? Try to use the story that you were told visually to answer the question, because you have a lot of visual clues there. What do you think, Henry?
So, again, what's the question?
Apparently, I've got to learn how to ask my questions more clearly. Dennis was saying that we could, in the end, maybe this is the only thing that we need. So it's useful to have on Earth. What kinds of things could it replace? In other words, why would it be useful, do you think, Henry? Think about the video. What uses did we see in the video?
I don't know. Maybe it could be used for health, like to make health objects, things to heal.
Interesting. Okay, so it could be used for health purposes. Hazel, are there any health issues that you think could be addressed with a 3D printer?
I think this 3D printer can prepare food for us based on our needs. For some composition for senior people, for pregnant women, or teenagers, or kids. And
so you watched the video.
yes, now
you paid attention. Excellent.
And we can choose whatever texture or flavors or shapes or structures we want.
So you've got two ideas there. We have this idea of personalized health, personalized food, but a second idea about personal choice. We can create any kind of an aesthetic, any kind of a look or feel or texture that we want. So two different ideas. Very interesting.
And it would be very interesting to have such a 3D printer on Earth.
It would be interesting. Right now, the 3D printers are in the news for some sensational reasons. Okay, so Mars is one sensational reason. The article you're going to read, it's very short. It came out today. So the news today is a bit sensational, the one about Mars. But 3D printers are in the news for all kinds of reasons. Has anyone heard some interesting news about 3D printers? Some sensational news? Specifically, go for it.
I heard a month ago or so that I don't know where they have created a gun with a 3D.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, the 3D printable gun.
Yeah.
About tools I heard as well.
So tools, guns, and Juan, or I think it was you speaking, but your mic was very, very low.
Yeah.
Yes, I was adjusting it.
Okay, I thought you were asking a question or speaking. Sorry.
No, yes, I was.
Talk to us.
No, I was going to mention the same as I about the 3D gun. Printed out.
Tell us about it. What did you hear?
Well, that they were successful to create the first 3D printed gun, that it worked, and well, that creates a big issue.
What's
for
the controversy?
Personal.
Why is it polemic? Besides the fact that it's a gun, what's the controversy?
That gives more freedom for anyone who can afford a 3D printer and the materials, with just a computer connected to the internet to download the sketches.
Right.
I don't know if the name is sketches or schemas.
Whatever they're called, those things. Yeah, the plans. There's like a program. So this is what Juan is bringing up is a really important point. The way the 3D printers work is something like the way your iPhone works. You've got your iPhone, then you've got this world of apps, right? So you can go to your 3D printer app store and just download a gun and print it. Or you can download a pizza and print it, right? Theoretically.
How about another person?
Yeah, clone it.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
About wife, about children, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if you should download another wife if you're already married, Dennis. You should really think twice about that.
Or organs for ill people.
Or organs, yeah. What have they printed recently? What body organs have they already printed?
Lungs, maybe?
They printed lungs, I don't know.
Maybe skin.
They've printed ears.
Yes.
So they print out the cells, and then the cells are kind of empty, and they grow. They have to inject mold it, and then they grow organic tissue in this framework. 3D printed heart, if I'm not mistaken. So they can, anyway, the point is that, so there's a lot of uses. You're probably not going to use the same printer for your ear, your gun, and your pizza. You could, I suppose, but it's going to take different material. So one is plastic, one is organic cellular material, and another one is organic material, but these sort of powders for your proteins and things like that. So probably there'll be, hard to say, hard to believe it would be the exact same printer that would do all of this. All right, so we got some interesting ideas out there. And by the way, feel free to speak freely or add comments in the chat window. Okay? Just because you don't have to wait for me to call on you, Luigi and Henry and new people. You don't have to wait for me to call on you, by the way. This is like a democracy.
But by the way, I must say that this is the first time I hear about 3D printers. I never heard that concept. I didn't know that existed.
You're welcome, Henry. You're welcome. That's why you're here, because I want to teach you about 3D printing. All right, we're going to read through a short article, very short, but kind of amazing, because there's so many ideas in it. So when you click on that link that I gave you earlier, let me share my screen so you can see it. When you click on that link, you're going to start off, of course, with our... By the way, you win a 3D printed pizza if you can tell me what movie this picture's from. Nihan, our film expert, didn't know.
Mars Attack.
Mars Attacks, directed by?
Tim Burton.
Directed by Tim Burton. Starring?
Jack Nicholson.
Excellent.
Pierce Brosnan and some others.
Oh, wow.
Susan Sarandon, was she in it? Who was the girl? I think Martin Short was in it. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just making that up. Well, Henry, you've got a very good memory, or you've got IMDb open. I'm not sure which.
No.
Good memory.
I'm good with movies and things like that.
Excellent. So, let's read through this short article. First, I want to show you some 3D printed food if you haven't seen it. Okay, so let me share my screen, but it's there on the second page as well. So can everyone, whoops, let me go here. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
This is food in the future. What do you think about that? Yum.
No.
Yeah.
It looks like plastic.
Yeah.
And it should. And it should, because the same thing that makes parts for jets, that prints out 3D parts for, constructing big things, or, even, yeah, it's the same. It's the exact same kind of printer. So it will look like that. Why do you think it looks like plastic? What do you think the mechanism is behind the printer that makes it look like an industrial part? Hopefully that question was clear.
The shapes are too
describe
well
the shapes.
Designed.
Yeah. How would
The
you
colors.
describe those? The colors and the shapes. So
Mold.
it looks like it's molded. Very good. Who was that? Dennis? One. Because I can't. When I'm showing my screen, I can't see the hangout. Yeah, they look like they're molded. They look like they're molded. In fact, they're not actually molded. They're printed in layers rather than injected. So it's not molded. But yeah, there's a plan, and it breaks down the plan into numbers, and then it prints in layers. Right? Talk to me about the colors. How would you describe the colors?
It's not delicious.
It's not delicious. What's another word for not delicious?
Tasty?
We don't know if it's
Tasteless.
tasty. We don't know. We don't know if it's tasteless. But let's talk about how it looks first, because it's an image. If something doesn't look delicious, how can we describe it?
Appetizing.
Excellent.
Disgusting?
So it may be disgusting. It doesn't look disgusting. It's not
No.
moldy and falling apart. But appetizing. So the opposite of appetizing would be what?
Nasty?
What? Sorry?
Unappetizing.
Unappetizing. So it looks unappetizing. Another word for tasteless. We can say, I don't want to say, hang on a second here. I got to stop sharing my screen because I can't see anyone here. Another word for, I don't want to say tasteless because again, we don't really know how it tastes, but we can talk how it appears. So let me see if I can find, hang on a second, a better word here. Give me just a second. Sorry, my computer's a little bit. Okay, so what I want to say here. By the way, there's a second picture, so actually, let me show you an even better one. If you think the first look unappetizing and boring, take a look at the second here on your screen.
Oh.
They look,
Worms.
yeah. Oh, do you see the worms? Can you see those?
Yes.
Excellent.
Disgusting.
So that looks pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
It looks like a synthetic material for furniture.
It seems like
Fantastic, yeah.
like cardboard.
Cardboard. Yeah.
Cardboard, yeah.
It looks like toilet paper rolls to me.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like cardboard toilet paper rolls with mealworms in the background. Here's the thing, right? Everything you're seeing is what makes up those little rolls. So those rolls are made of those insects. That's what they're made of. So guess what your pizza is going to be made of in the future when we're all living in Mars. Guess what you're really going to be eating. Let's find out a little bit more. Okay, this is pretty short, so I think we're going to have time to even get to a bit of a debate or conversation. It's just a few paragraphs. They're quite short. I think the language is pretty easy. So the first part, I think, is maybe the most interesting for us. Okay, so who wants to read the audacious plan to end hunger with 3D printed food? I do, teacher. I do. Who does? Calling me.
Hazel does.
Hazel does. Okay.
Okay.
Start us off, Hazel. You've been volunteered by Nihan.
Okay. Engine contractor's 3D food printer might evoke visions of the replicator popularized in Star Trek, from which Captain Picard was constantly interrupting himself to order tea. And indeed, Contractors Company Systems and Materials Research Corporation just got a 6-month, $125,000 grant from NASA to create a prototype of his universal food synthesizer.
Universal food synthesizer. What's a prototype? What's another way to say prototype?
Model.
Model. Okay. And do you know why we use the word proto in prototype? Proto meaning what? You're right, it's a model, but what makes this model different? Sorry? Say again? I heard someone go, "Arr!" but I didn't hear what you said. Going once? Going twice? Okay, think about that for a moment. What about grant? Another word for grant would be what?
$12.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you because I just hear the end of what you're saying. So I think that was Henry.
NASA gave this money, no?
NASA gave this money. So grant is when
Granted.
to grant is to give permission, and a grant is like
An allowance.
Yeah, an allowance. It's not a loan, right? It's not a loan.
loan.
It's
No,
like
not loan.
budget?
Give.
It's like the budget, except that it's a budget that you don't have to pay back. So it's an
Yes.
investment more than a
Allowance.
budget. By the way, earlier the word was cardboard, so I'm putting that in the chat window. Not hardboard, but cardboard. And unappetizing is correct. Because I'm just seeing the chat window now. Okay, so it's like the budget, but more than a budget. It's given to a person or maybe a company. And NASA says, there you go, take the money. You don't have to give it back. Come back and impress us.
And create this food synthesizer.
Right, and it's a prototype because proto gives us the idea of being first. The first thing is proto. So it's a type model, but it's the first type, the prototype. Clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
And who or what is Anyan or Anjan contractor? Who or what is that? Is that clear from the first paragraph? Is he related to Captain Picard?
The idea
Yes.
comes from Captain Picard's.
The idea does seem to come from Star Trek. By the way, Star Trek was using tablet computers before the whole world was, back in the 60s. So a lot of
Really?
ideas come from Star Trek. Really. Look back to the original series in the 60s, and they're all holding little tablet computers. They don't really have screens. They have something that doesn't look like anything because their computers talk really loud in a very annoying voice. In the future, computers have a very loud, annoying nasal voice. And then in the series, they also had little tablets as well. But what's a contractor? They keep referring to this contractor. Who or what is a contractor? In this article, just so that I know it's clear for everyone. Is a contractor a thing, a person,
No,
a
company.
place, or a
Company, a
company?
A corporation.
Yes. No?
No. No. It's a person.
Really?
Really?
It's the owner of the company.
It's the owner of the company, right. It's the owner of the company who just happens to have a really weird last name. His name is Contractor, which is odd because he is a subcontractor for NASA. Isn't that funny?
Oh, yes. And in this contract
Sounded
company,
funny.
yes.
Yeah. So it's some dude with a funny name. Okay. So, Mr. Dennis, I'd like to hear you speak. I'd like to hear you говорить. Can you speak for us?
Yes, I'm here. So
Okay.
very
Number
good
2.
Russian, actually.
Oh, thank you. Thank you is spasibo.
Yes, it is.
My 2 words of Russian that I know. Okay, paragraph number 2. Go for it,
Me? Yeah.
please.
But contractor, a mechanical engineer with a background in 3D printing, envisions a much more mundane and ultimately more important use for the technology. This is a day when every kitchen has a 3D printer and the Earth's 20 billion people feed themselves customized, nutritionally appropriate meals synthesized one layer at a time from cartridges of powder and oils they buy at the corner grocery store. Contractor's vision would mean the end of food waste because the powder his system will use on shelves stable for up for 30 years, so that each cartridge, whatever it contains, sugar, complex carbohydrates, protein.
Carbohydrates. Because if you're thirsty, we say that you need to be hydrated. So the pronunciation is the same. Carbohydrate.
Carbohydrates, protein, and some of the basic building block would be fully exhausted before being returned to the store.
Right. Okay. So what is the clear advantage the 3D printer has over the way we eat and produce and consume food now? Now we can see that it's not so crazy and futuristic after all. What's the advantage? This is for anyone. You can all speak freely, by the way.
It's shelf stable.
Shelf stable for 30 years. Absolutely. That means food won't do what?
Won't
Raw
go bad.
It won't go bad, right? Or it won't
Rotten.
rot.
Rotten. Yes.
It won't rot. Rotten is the adjective. It
Oh,
won't
yeah.
rot.
Yeah.
It won't
be
go bad.
rotten.
Yeah, it won't be rotten as the adjective, right? Or we could say it won't spoil. You've got those three words in the chat window. It won't go bad, it won't rot, it won't spoil. They all mean the same thing, by the way.
And it's
So
very
that-
quickly. It's very quickly.
What's
That's the most important. To cook this meal, it's much more quickly than now.
not? It's much faster to prepare the meal. You mean? Much faster to cook.
Much faster.
Yeah. Okay. So a second advantage is that you just turn it on, load up an app, load up a program, and it instantly makes the meal. And why is it quicker? You're absolutely right. I don't know if it says it in this paragraph. Is it obvious why it's so quick? You're right, but I don't know if it's in this paragraph. Why is it quicker than regular cooking?
It might be.
No, it is. But can you imagine why? Why would you think it's quicker? Think about how.
Because it's future. In future, always faster.
Oh, okay.
By definition.
Because when you cook, you are by myself. It's a one person, but if you print it, it's a lot of person in the kitchen. I can imagine it. It's quicker.
So you can maybe service more people at the same time,
Yeah.
kind of like having your own restaurant. Yeah, that could be part of it. But there's another reason. Think about does everyone here have a printer at home? Ida,
Yeah.
do you have a printer?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
Teacher?
Oh,
I don't see any teacher here. We're just a bunch of friends hanging out on Verbling. We're not teachers. We're not students. So Ida, how does your printer work? I mean, why is your printer an advantage over using a feather and ink? I mean, what's the big advantage when you print out a document?
Quicker.
Yeah.
yeah,
Why?
Why it's quicker? Is zero.
Yes. Huh? What?
Why it's quicker?
Yes, why do you think it's quicker? Why don't we just use the old feather plumes like in the 18th century and get a bird, take off a tail feather, stick it in ink? I mean, what's the advantage of a printer? And how does it achieve it? What would you say? Because I don't have a printer, but you have a printer.
Yes, you have a printer, John.
I don't have a printer. I really don't. I don't.
Yes.
I don't believe in paper. I don't believe anything.
To be honest, I don't know how exactly a printer works.
Uh-huh.
I think you have more precision.
More precision. Okay, so that means it uses ink more efficiently. Yeah.
Yes, and that would work for food too, right? Because it will make sure to mix the correct ingredients and the appropriate measures or quantities.
Measurements.
Measurements.
That's a really good point. So it's going to work with precision. So it's going to use what's the word? It'd be using what it has, the ingredients, to their full to the full extent that they can be used, not wasteful in any way. That's part of it. Yeah. I'm thinking about laser printers. Remember the difference between like the old printers back in the 80s, and then they kind of got a bit better in the 90s, and then we had laser printers. And Juan, talk to us. Don't write in the chat box. Talk to us. What about? Thank you. Just talk. We're talkaholics. We're addicted to talking, Juan.
Great, because me too. Well, I was making the previous comment about the inkjet printers.
Right.
They're instructed by the software of how much ink to apply to the given text or graphic that you're using, and they also take into account the type of material. In this case, well, they just use paper, but they take into account the type of paper, if it is photographic, inkjet, and to use the quantity of
right, to use the right
ink.
quantity for ink for the different medium. So if it's like
Yeah.
very porous paper, if it's very porous paper, then it's maybe we'll use more ink because it'll be absorbed by the paper, right? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and they also use the cartridge that's the way they emulate or do as when we type. No, when we use the pen, how is that called? Typing also.
With the what? A pen? Writing? What?
Writing, yeah, the equivalent of printing with the pen. What is the name of that action?
Pen writing.
Writing.
Well, just
Handwriting.
writing, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, applying. Okay.
Unless you mean
They
something
do
that I don't know. I don't know
No,
what you want to do with your pen, but I write with my pen.
No, because you were giving the example of
Mhm.
why printers are better than using the feather ink.
Yeah.
I don't know if the action of writing with a pen has a different name or a specific name in English. I wasn't sure, so I just wanted to
Probably
clarify
does.
that.
Probably does, but I can't think of anything specific. The actual action, I don't know. Probably does, but I can't think of anything. If I can't think of it, then it probably doesn't exist. I don't know.
No one already used hands to write.
Yeah, handwritten is just to show the contrast between typing. So it can be handwritten or typed. But the actual action of moving the pen over the paper, I don't know if we have a specific word for that. Well, what I was getting at is, with laser printers, there's a difference because aren't they in some way cooking or burning the image? Are they cooking the ink or burning the image and then cooling it, so that there's a more complex action going on? That's what I was thinking. Because if you have a printer, well, don't we normally need to cook food, right? Is this food not going to be cooked? Is that the point? What do you think? Because for me, the idea is, well, somehow this would be faster because it appears to be cooking the food at the moment that it's printing it in layers. So the cooking is happening at the moment, the point of contact. So it's like micro cooking. So I thought that might be another reason why it's being sped up, because it's being cooked in layers and produced. So rather than having to heat up the water, and if you only have to heat this much material, in a way it'll be faster. So it seems like a more efficient way of cooking as well. Anyway, that's just an idea I had. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you think.
No, but it does make sense because at the beginning of the class I was wondering the same, how it's just like an oven that is a preset, that is automatic, that it mixes the ingredients.
Yeah, I thought that's kind of how laser printers worked. In any case, think about the oven. The oven is a really wasteful thing because you have to put in more fuel than you need. You're going to lose a lot of heat because it's just difficult to get a very efficient oven, a consumer level oven. It's going to be difficult. Most ovens lose a lot of heat. The kitchen gets hot when you're cooking. So imagine if you only had to heat this tiny little speck on the tip of my finger, right? So 1 little centimeter at a time or something like that. So that might be another innovation. Well, let's read the rest of the article and find out. So Juan, why don't you continue with the third paragraph?
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous food synthesizers
Slow
would
down.
also
Wait,
create
slow
new
down.
way.
Slow down. You have to get that th sound. So synthesizers.
Synthesizers
Perfect.
would also create new ways of producing the basic calories on which we all rely. Since a powder is a powder, the inputs could be anything that contained the right organic molecules. We already know that eating meat is environmentally unsustainable, so why not get all our protein from insects?
Why not? Can you think of any reason why we shouldn't?
Insects, but not worms.
Maybe
Worms
they
too.
won't. Maybe they won't be as tasty as the normal ones that we use.
Is anyone worried about insects and worms being not tasty? Because let me tell you, they're pretty tasty. They're pretty tasty.
Really?
Right, Henry?
Insects, I heard, are very tasty. In China, I think they read crickets. Are very crispy.
In the first episode of the Ricky Gervais series, Idiot Abroad, the guy is watching someone eat a chicken embryo, an egg
Wow.
that has an actual chicken in it. Yum.
I saw.
And because all these electronic devices, as usual, will be made in China, we will have only Chinese cuisine, like insects, worms, and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, we in the West we should have kept up with technology instead of like outsourcing everything to China, because now we have to eat their food.
Yeah, and it will be no pizza in future.
There will be pizza in the future. We're going to find out why. Actually, who has not read yet? Mr. Henry, let's find out why. Can you go on to the fourth paragraph?
Yes. Okay. If eating something spat out by the same kind of 3D printers that are currently being used to make everything from jet engine parts to fine art doesn't sound too appetizing, that's only because you can currently afford the good stuff, says contractor. That might not be the case once the world's population reaches its peak size, probably sometime near the end of this century. I think, and many economists think, that current food systems can't supply 12 billion people sufficiently, says contractor. So we eventually have to change our perception of what we see as food.
Very good, very good. So, this first part of the article is all we're going to read today because I think it's the most important. The rest is interesting too, but we're going to look at the other two parts tomorrow and Thursday. So you can definitely come back and we're going to continue our discussion, and I've got two activities as well. But let's have a little discussion about this. We've already been talking about it, but let's talk a little bit more in depth. This point, listen, on my document, I gave you a link to an earlier Talkaholic text class that we already did. When we talked about this issue, we talked exactly about this issue. So at the top, you've got links to that Talkaholic text series number 3. Food shortages could force the world into vegetarianism, warn scientists.
Yes.
So you can go back and review that article and watch the video. That will also help you with vocabulary, and then come back tomorrow and you'll have lots of vocabulary to have our discussion. But let's talk about that for just a moment. I think someone's eating insects out there. I think that's Juan.
What?
I hear someone crunching, but
Maybe
yeah.
he just printed
Sorry.
something to eat.
Sorry, I was reaching for a cookies.
Okay. You're reaching for cookies, really? Well, take a look at this one. What do you think about this? While you're eating your cookies, what do you think about this? Can you see that?
Wow.
Yum.
I think
Crotches?
I think I prefer the cookies.
I lose my appetite.
This is a yummy meal of.
Really?
Let's see what it is. This is creamy corn with crickets, care of a French Michelin star restaurant. Yum. So listen, this restaurant has a Michelin star. I mean, they're not fooling around, right? It's got to be pretty tasty. Let's talk a little bit about why do you think, if you were in that Talkaholics class, you might remember our discussion. What's wrong with the way we're eating now? Let's start there. I mean, what is it that we need to change?
We eat too much red meat, and raising cows and cattle soon will pollute the atmosphere, and the water won't be enough to feed with grass the cattle, and anyway we have to
Right.
to give
So
up to the red meat.
there's a problem with pollution, a problem, look in the chat window, a problem with depletion as well, like depleting water supplies,
Yes.
that they won't be able to handle the capacity that we need to sustain livestock. So there you go. So one of the advantages, so I mean, is, well, you could always use insects, right? Because they're everywhere. You don't really have to feed them. Can anyone think of any other advantages? So there's just more of them and we don't have to feed them. They're already out there. Any other advantages? There's some that are maybe not so obvious.
But I think that beyond the pollution and all the things that we are talking, we have a very big problem that it's, in fact, demonstrated that we throw a lot of food to the bin and we waste a lot of food. So I think that first of all we have to sort out that problem, because we have a big problem with that.
And health problems, I think it's a big issue.
Talk to me, Hazel.
The health problem is a big issue for those who eat red meat, and I think in the future people should become vegetarian.
They should, and they may have to.
Yes.
According to scientists.
Anyway, I still prefer to hear Mom saying, eat your vegetables than eat your insects.
Right. You know, wash your hands before you eat your crickets, Henry. Exactly. So these are all big issues. And so we've got the problem of sustaining the livestock. Another reason also about pollution is that, here's a fact for you, 18% of greenhouse gas emissions, 18%, come from rearing traditional livestock. So you can already imagine what that means. And if you look at there's a famous graph called the hockey stick or something like that, where they looked at global emissions and they shoot up like a hockey stick. So it goes up exponentially in the last I don't remember I think it's the last 30 years. It shoots up. So and we hit a recent milestone with the highest amount of carbon in the atmosphere since whatever, how many millions of years it is. So all of these things appear to be directly related to how we eat. But then what you're saying also is, if they're having health problems now, what happens when we have 12 million people? So there's also this issue about caring for people that have these health problems. So maybe that's another issue as well. What happens when it reaches 12 billion? So that's what the scientists are saying is this peak period when we're basically less than 100 years, suddenly we're going to have a bigger population than we can handle, and we're going to have to care for them when they're sick. There's one less likely point here. I've got another fact here. What about all these? Let me just ask you a quick question. What movies are you going to watch this summer? What are the movies coming out over the summer in the next couple of weeks and months? What are they all about? Do you notice a common thread? Does anyone?
The end of human being.
It all seems to be about the end of the human race, and how are we going to end?
Yeah.
What's gonna do us in, Henry?
What was that?
What's going to do us in? What's going to kill us, according to these movies?
Ourselves, mainly, I think.
Well,
Hungary?
Well, yeah, we've got the Hunger Games coming up. There's one, so hunger, poverty. We've got that Brad Pitt movie coming up.
Technology also, like in Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
Pollution.
Yeah, pollution, technology. I don't know what the premise of the Tom Cruise movie is. Is that technology that got us? Because
I don't want to spoil the movie.
It's got Tom Cruise in it. You're not going to spoil it. We're not going there for the. I think we already know what the movie's going to be about, or we wouldn't see it. You've got all of these zombie movies, and the thing that I always found weird was that when I was a kid, zombies were like kind of coming from some sort of magical tradition in the Caribbean, right? And then suddenly there was a change, and now they all come from some kind of virus. That seems to be the common theme.
Yes.
So you've got that Brad Pitt movie. I don't know what it's based on. What it's like, maybe some kind of, because it's like what, comic book or something like that. I don't know where it comes from, the premise. But that's another virus movie, right? So I can't help but think that there's a correlation to why these films are so popular right now and the kinds of things that we're afraid of. So why do you think that? Yeah, but why do you think we're afraid of dying in that way, Juan? Where do all those fears come from? Because it seems to me there's a common thread related to what we're talking about right now.
Well, fear for the unknown.
Well, yeah, but where are all our health threats coming from these days? But right now, I'm not talking about global warming or environmental change. I mean, right now, today, what are we most afraid of? And where is it coming from? So Nihan says starvation. Any other ideas? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, what does everyone else think? Because I'm thinking of like H1N1, for example, or SARS. Where does all that come from?
Engineered diseases?
Engineered from what? They came from somewhere, right? They are engineered, but like anthrax, that may be, you can engineer from what? Space?
They came somewhere, you said? From space?
They came from space? Really? I thought they came from birds.
From the same animals?
It will be viruses from your computer.
Viruses from the computer are going to invade our bodies?
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
And this is sci-fi.
Here's
from
what.
Which?
Go ahead, Juan.
Oh yes, you're right. Anthrax is from a specific bird, right?
Anthrax is a fungus, if I'm not mistaken, originally. But here's what I'm getting at. Avian flu, I think, is what? SARS or H1N1. I can't remember which. Avian flu, bird flu. I mean, that came from poor livestock conditions. So we're over the cows. Here's a good example. You know, they have to give cows antibiotics, not because they're sick, right? But because they're kept in terrible conditions and they're probably going to get sick. So they give them antibiotics so that if they get sick, they're not going to be useless in terms of what they're producing, milk or meat, probably milk. So it tells you something about the conditions that they're kept in. Okay, and then in different countries, you've got different standards, and some places have very little supervision. So when you look at the statistics, people they tend to look at the East first to see what's going to happen. Doesn't always come from the East, but recently, bird flu and all that seems to be coming from there because they have to kind of mass produce food. So, what do you think we could switch to to get rid of? I mean, all these problems would just disappear if we switched the way we ate. That's really what I'm getting at. So, how do you think 3D printing might be an advantage? What's our food stock possibly going to be based on? See what I'm getting at? No?
Yes. No. Yes.
Protein from vegetables.
From
Vegetables, protein.
absolutely not. Absolutely not vegetables.
From insects.
Absolutely not. From insects. From insects. And
But I was wondering something. Sorry about the intro. Do insects have the same
yes,
protein
Juan.
intake?
Yes. You're getting to the core of the issue. Yes, Juan. They're different, aren't they? They're different. So because they're different, we cannot catch diseases from them because they're not like us. But they do have the protein we need because even plants have it. So, but let's hold that thought for now because unfortunately I have a class that started 1 minute ago.
Viruses is also protein, by the way.
A virus is something that
protein structure.
It's a very peculiar thing, whatever it is. I don't know if we know exactly what it is.
So we always will have viruses. We always were. We always had viruses. We always will have viruses.
Of course.
Not such a big deal, actually.
I guess my point is that their physiology is so different that their diseases can't really affect us that we know of because it's just not compatible. Like we're not going to get a disease from a tree. It's very unlikely because the biological systems are not compatible. So one amazing advantage of switching to insects would be that we might eliminate some of the biggest diseases that come from the way we grow our foods, our livestock conditions. Anyway, listen, we're going to continue this tomorrow at the same time because I'm 2 minutes late for my next class, so I have to stop now. We're going to...
Where will you teach?
Sorry? What?
Where will you teach? I cannot see any class in Verblink.
You can't see any classes in Verbling, really?
Yeah, evet. Yeah.
Today, next hour. You know.
I cannot see.
No. Today, for some reason, my classes at Verbling were all canceled. I don't know why, but I was able to put some on the schedule. So I'm teaching tomorrow 2 classes, and on Thursday 1 class. So the next 2 Talkaholics classes will be related to this one. Tomorrow at the same hour and the Thursday at the same hour. Then there's going to be one on tomorrow earlier, which I'm still waiting to see how we're going to do that one. I'm not sure. But anyway, I have a student waiting, so I need to stop now. Okay? So come back tomorrow for the second class of this series, and we're going to be dealing with Martian menus. So I hope to see you there. Okay, if you're new, follow me by going to my profile, click follow teacher, and you should be able to see my schedule and contact me and everything like that. So bye for now, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.